International yachtsmen converge on Sydney to participate in the 1975 Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race. Yachtsmen from the USA and the United Kingdom. Japan throwing out a strong challenge with 4 entrants. Yachts from New Zealand, from Papua New Guinea and all states of Australia, and for the first time and in International Women's Year, an all-girl crew. The Southern Cross Series is being sailed in conjunction, and the handicap result of the Sydney to Hobart Yacht Race will determine the placings in that series. Sydney and Hobart have always played host to those who sail the oceans. Yachting enthusiasts, relatives and friends follow the fleet to Hobart. Sydney and Hobart have a charm, graciousness and serenity which few cities can match. With the profusion of seasonal floral displays, one could be miles from the bustle of the city. Hobart is proud of its bridge, Australia's oldest, built in 1823. Richmond takes the visitor into one of Australia's most historic settlements. This beautifully preserved Georgian-style residence is typical of the many scattered throughout the Tasmanian countryside. Port Arthur, once the infamous penal settlement of Van Diemen's Land, is now a place of historic interest in a picture book setting of green lawns and tall trees. It was established as a convict settlement in 1830 and abandoned in 1877. The well-preserved ruins of a colonial past still remain. Each year, thousands of holidaymakers visit Port Arthur. Many magnificent old homes and buildings are in a perfect state of preservation. No matter where you travel in Hobart, you can look back into history, yet the city is as modern as it is old. Modern buildings have been erected in recent years, and these blend harmoniously with the early colonial architecture to give Hobart its unique charm. West Point Casino has brought to Tasmania the glamour and sophistication of the international scene. Australia Square, one of Sydney's tallest buildings. Sydney is a bustling international city, but it still provides opportunity for recreation and relaxation in its many parks and gardens. The Sir Leslie Moorehead Memorial Fountain is one of many unusual fountains in the city. Governor Phillip, Australia's first governor, who commanded the first fleet and established the first white settlement at Sydney Cove in 1788. One of the most interesting areas of Sydney is the rocks on the western shores of Sydney Cove. The area has many historic buildings. The home of the Australian-American Association was designed by John Verge and built in 1834. Campbell's Storehouse, built in 1842. Cadman's Cottage, built in 1816. the oldest surviving dwelling in the city of Sydney. The Bank of New South Wales. The observatory on Observatory Hill overlooks the Rocks district. The Lord Nelson and the hero of Waterloo, two of Sydney's oldest hotels. Sydney is Australia's oldest city. In 1770, Captain James Cook landed on the shores of Botany Bay. Today at Kurnell, near the site of the first landing, is located the Australian oil refinery. During the 20 years of the refinery's operations, the village of Kurnell has grown into a prosperous centre. For almost as many years, Celtex has been associated with the Sydney to Hobart yacht race. On Boxing Day, December the 26th, Sydney Harbour is the focal point for one of Australia's most spectacular sporting events, the start of the 1,000-kilometre Sydney to Hobart yacht race. The Governor of New South Wales, Sir Roden Cutler, is the official starter for the event. This year's race, the 31st, has attracted a record fleet of 102 yachts. Entrants have come from many countries in the world and from all parts of Australia. Everything is ready aboard HMAS Buccaneer for the start. The start. There's a light easterly wind and the crews work hard to wind up their yachts to maximum speed. The yachts race for Sydney Heads and the open seas. Two smaller yachts, Plum Crazy and America's Pied Piper, are best away. It's an aquatic scramble. There are thousands of spectator craft, but a clear path to the Heads is maintained for the yachts. Ballyhoo, skippered by Jack Brooklyn, soon takes the lead, and the Sir Henry Merkin is close at hand. Spectator boats quickly whitewash the harbour. It's a magnificent escort for the fleet. With brilliant teamwork by its crew members, Ballyhoo is first through the Heads for the second successive year. Windward Passage, in close pursuit, is out to show she is the world's fastest ocean racer. The 78-foot Kealoha towers over Apollo, with Australia's 1962 America's Cup challenger Gretel close behind. Leader slips past Japan's Miyakadori 3. The natural amphitheatre of the harbour's foreshores gives the tens of thousands of spectators a panoramic view of the fleet as it heads to sea. The sloop-rigged Ballyhoo retains her lead over Fitz Johnson's Windward Passage as the yachts head south for Hobart. Already the mighty Kealoha is gaining on the leaders. Ballyhoo charges ahead, while Kealoha's crew work hard to close the gap with Windward Passage. Jock Sturrock, aboard Gretel, prepares for a duel with Apollo. Alan Bond's Apollo 3, now representing Great Britain, has been modified for the race. Sir Henry Merkin leads the Japanese yacht Sunbird 5. She's sailing nicely. Victoria's Superstar, skippered by Keith Fafour. One Amy's Narima led Britain's Admiral's Cup team to victory last year. She's looking for another victory. Peter Kurt's Love and War, just back from the Admiral's Cup, is chasing her second consecutive Hobart win. The green-hulled Mercedes 4, owned by Ted Kaufman, could win on handicap. One of the race favourites is Pied Piper, sailed by the popular American Ted Turner. He has one Sydney Hobart win to his credit, and his yacht is the current world one-ton champion. And Dural is another American entry. Thundercloud is sailing for New Zealand. The Caltex radio relay vessel, Mascarin 2, maintains a watchful eye. By sundown, the fleet has made good time down the New South Wales coast. During the night, the wind has shifted to the northeast, and spinnakers are set for a fast run. Now Kealoha is making good speed. And so too is Windward Passage. Ballyhoo is in third place. It's an easy race so far, but will it stay that way? Windward Passage has everything set to hold off Kealoha's challenge. And Ballyhoo is hanging on. Aboard the Caltex radio relay ship, position reports are collated. It's a big job with 102 yachts. Information on the yacht's positions is relayed back to race headquarters at the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia. The press room is the nerve centre. Honeywell has supplied a computer to calculate handicap placings from the reports, and these are passed on to newsmen of the press, radio and TV. On the second day, the 27th, the wind remains favourable, and Windward Passage is still holding off Kealoha's challenge. Most interest centres on this clash of the giants. A new course record is in sight. Kealoha has all stops out as she charges across Bass Strait and down the Tasmanian coast. Jim Kilroy and his crew are trying everything to head off Windward Passage. Ballyhoo is still in close company. Ray Kirby's beautiful Patrice 3 is doing well on handicap. The downwind conditions are not ideal for Britain's Narima. During the day, there's a dramatic change. Kealoha increases speed, surfs past Windward Passage and heads towards Hobart and a new course record. Both these yachts and Ballyhoo have reached speeds of over 20 knots. They may reach Hobart inside 3 days. Ballyhoo's hopes are dashed with the absence of a beat to windward. She approaches Storm Bay. Kealoha holds off a desperate challenge from Windward Passage and finishes at 2:36 a.m. on the 29th to an enthusiastic welcome. She has smashed the race record by almost 11 hours, adding to her already amazing string of victories. 23 minutes later, Windward Passage finishes off Battery Point. Aboard Kealoha, Jim Kilroy and his crew have a well-earned celebration. 2 hours later, Ballyhoo arrives at Battery Point. Her disappointed crew know that she didn't get the right weather. Early morning, and the New Zealand sloop Buccaneer crosses the line. She took line honours in 1970. During the night, the wind increased. Crews are working hard. It's a wet ride towards the Derwent. The aluminium-hulled Leader, skippered by Neville Gosson, has done exceptionally well offshore, but now she's being pushed by Apollo 3. Norima retains her strong position. Japan's Sunbird leads New Zealand's Corinthian during a sail change. Patrice and Fantasy Rag head for the Derwent River, along with Love and War and New Zealand's Kalia. One yacht which has drawn almost as much attention as the bigger boats is the 38-foot Barbarian, sailed by Vicky Wilman and her all-girl crew. They have done well. Back in the Derwent, and Rob Sterling tacks Apollo towards the finish. She performed well to finish 5th across the line and inside the elusive 3-day elapsed time barrier. And here's the only other yacht to finish inside 3 days, Apollo 3. She's made up a lot of time. Leader made the trip in 3 days, 1 minute, 13 seconds. Ron Amy's Admiral's Cup champion Norima attacks for the finish. She sailed well in the conditions. Her crew are pleased to see Hobart. Japan's Sunbird 5 closes on the finish just behind Norima. Interest is now on the handicap winner. The crew of Western Australia's Rampage know they have a chance. The beautiful blue-hulled Corinthian has done well for a large yacht, though the smaller yachts may dominate the handicap places. Former champion Ragamuffin, now renamed Fantasy Rag, has been pushed hard. Patrice 3 is almost home. Gretel has slipped back in the latter stages. Kalia, Quando and Love and War catch the last of a good breeze. Rampage has a good run up the Derwent and looks the winner on handicap. In the Derwent, the wind has dropped. Whispers of Wellington, Boomerang of Belmont and Victoria tried desperately to beat the calm. For Love and War, the chance of 2 in a row has gone. Another New Zealand entry, Quando, finishes. It's been an easy race this year, but the yachtsmen are glad to reach port. Rowley Tasker's Siska makes a fine sight as she nears the finish. New Guinea representative Apollo 2 leads Superstar, a 44-footer that has surprised with its fine performance. On the lower part of the Derwent River, the wind is almost a breath. Japan's Miyakadori is struggling. The Tel 2 isn't enjoying the lack of wind either. Another Japanese competitor, Vargo, inches towards Battery Point. After a lively run all the way from Sydney, this is a bitter climax. Pied Piper. Rampage's crew are waiting for her. She can still win. Brer Fox, a handicap chance for New Zealand. It's been a slow race for Mercedes 4. She's with the handicap favourite, Prospector Ponsonby. There's Gidgee. Mercedes 4 has faltered in the final stages of the race, and time is running out for Prospector Ponsonby. The night of December the 29th. The handicap drama is high. Mary Blair finishes. Tawari slips across the line. She cannot win on handicap. Fair Dinkum crosses the line. She's failed by only 10 minutes to beat Rampage. The Rampage crew have waited 6 hours for their victory to be confirmed. The Caltex radio relay ship Mascarin 2, her difficult job concluded, enters Constitution Dock. It's a magnificent sight. Soon after, Barbarian with her all-girl crew enters the dock to one of the noisiest welcomes ever heard. They're given pride of place in the dock. It's champagne all round. Famous Constitution Dock is crammed with yachts. The larger yachts are moored nearby at King's Wharf. Hobart has not previously witnessed such a colourful armada. The Governor of Tasmania, Sir Stanley Burberry, is welcomed aboard the Caltex radio relay ship by the Chairman of Caltex, Raymond Johnson. It's been a race for the record books. Kealoha has won the crown as the world's fastest ocean racer with a record time of 2 days, 14 hours, 36 minutes and 56 seconds. Congratulations to owner Jim Kilroy and his crew for a great effort. But also to the winner on handicap, Western Australia's Rampage, with a third and a first in 2 starts in the Classic. It's a great achievement for Peter Packer and his young crew. Second is Jim Robson Scott's Fair Dinkum, just 10 minutes 51 seconds behind Rampage. Third is Keith Fafa's Superstar. For the blue water sailor, this Sydney to Hobart Classic is a must on the international calendar. One of the world's major ocean racing events, starting in Sydney's magnificent harbour and finishing in the serene city of Hobart. It is a blue water classic few can match.